record. Get some music going. Whoa, no. Turn that down to my headset. Because the whole point is to just have it as background noise. Ladies and gentlemen, you're probably wondering, Blue Wolf, what the fuck is this? I will explain. So, I have been hit by what I can only describe as writer's itch. I know that sounds so weird and so stupid, but I have been trying to write a fanfic for a while. A good while. So I figured, you know what? Fuck it. Let's just pull the trigger on this. I can finally start moving towards being done, and I can kind of just talk about my setting and just get it all out in one nice big chunk, so that way I don't have to bog down everything else with all of this. This is also why there are rules here. Pretty self-explanatory rules, but I figured I'd go over them anyway. And yes, as I did spend way longer than I wanted to working on these goddamn rules. Rule number 1 is very simple, and this applies to the VOD as well. Hell, if you got OC mode ideas, I welcome them. You know? Pretty self-explanatory. Really. You know? If you wanted to, you want to share your OC modes about, whatever, ever, on whatever subject, go for it. Unrelated, rule number 2, feedback is always welcome. I mean, duh, that's kind of bog standard. Rule number 3 is one that I hate that I even have to have up, but I do. Don't be a dick. Just, be tolerant of other people's OC modes. It's all I ask. Be tolerant of mine, I will be tolerant of yours, so on and so forth. Rule number 4. Unrelated questions are okay. This is just a kind of a reassurance thing. Because I was like, yeah, I might as well. Hell, because I was like, yeah, I might as well just go ahead and do this. And rule number 5 is, no, I am not switching off follower-only chat. This admittedly is the one that could be seen as a gag, admittedly, but I do mean this sincerely. No, I'm not turning off follower-only chat. That is there it's there so that I don't get nothing but bots. I've already had bots. I've had bots follow me and then spam their messages, and it's like, oh my god. I hate those. I hate those so much. But it is what it is. So, OC mode. Let's get to the crux of this. So, right here at the start, let's talk about what kind of things does my OC mode pertain to, right? So, for example, what is my OC mode like? Well, think of it as, I don't want to describe it as Doctor Who, because it's not really Doctor Who, but it's more like a show you may or may not have heard of called Sliders. Sliders, I'm pretty sure, is where a lot of the world hopping ideas that I've had came from. Now, Sliders, if you've never heard of it, and I don't blame you, because it was I'm pretty sure it was a sci-fi show in the 90s, And it was all about, note, traveling to parallel dimensions. Hi, Neko. Neko, how's it going? And so, effectively, the idea was, it was basically the infinite multiverse kind of concept. And so the idea was to try and get, the characters were trying to get back to their actual reality while sliding through portals and portals/wormholes to different parallel Earths. And it was basically, the concept of the show was each episode would just kind of be a different world that they went to, right? It was a very episodic show. And that just kind of engaged my brain in a way where it was like, huh, why don't I just do that with fan fiction, and have a character that basically travels to different dimensions and goes ahead and, uh, does that, you know? And then it just kind of started evolving and evolving and evolving and evolving. And yeah, I won't bore you with all of the different incarnations. I will just bore you with the one that is actually relevant. So, so, I should probably skip to the next song because that is a Judas Priest song. Ugh. God, copy wrong. Anyways. um. What do we got? What do we got here? So yeah, the whole concept was going to different worlds and such, and kind of having it be interconnected. And I just bumped my desk. Yeah. And yeah, this is also this whole stream is just an excuse for Neko to go to pop off with OC mode herself. It's kind of funny. Anyways, but anyways, so essentially the idea is of this stream is I was kind of just wanting to continue to write chapter 1 and just kind of have this be a casual chat about my setting in different ways. In fact, nope, that's not the one I want. This is the one I want because I don't need to be staring at my face. I should be typing up. Yeah, at this point, yeah, pretty much. Not that I'm discouraging that, mind you, because I get it. I literally slammed on the stream brakes to kind of talk about my OC mode, right? So the way that I have structured it is it's a crossover with different franchises. I was originally going to do this on the thing, but nobody showed up, so I was like, I wasn't really encouraged to keep going with it. I mean, I guess I could have, but I don't know how long I would have ended up going for that. Regardless, there are essentially tiers of different franchise crossovers. There's Full Tilt, which is just, character settings, concepts, and even some events cross over into crossover because IOC mode effectively does different things with it. And this chair feels a little low. Give me a second. There we go. It kind of felt like I was slouching. No, Ching, forgive me. So. Okay. Makes sense. So, yeah, like I said, multiple tiers of whatchamacallit. Multiple tiers of different crossovers. There's the full tilt tier, which, like I said, events and characters, events, and concepts all get boiled in. Then there's the it's there, but it's not really full tilt. Usually, this is just characters that cross over, and maybe some of the backstory kind of ties into that, but at the same time, for the most part, it's really just the characters that I'm looking at. Characters and concepts I'm looking at. Then there's the minimal tier, which is just maybe one or two characters, and that's like it. Which is funny because there is actually one series that is actually like that. And that, of course, is Yu-Gi-Oh!, which actually had a bigger crossover with my setting originally, but then it just kind of diminished over the years. Which is hilarious because there's one character who I just kind of threw into my setting effectively to basically point at the frickin' writers and be like, you want a stoic badass as woman? You don't write her in that stupid way. Hey, where I spent 80 hours, spent 20 hours fucking grinding during your 80-hour game. Aim. No, this is how you write it. You write her as a frickin' badass warrior, and you write her properly. You write her as a character, not a caricature. Which is funny because actually one of the YouTube channels I follow actually kind of pointed out Lightning kind of does what everybody else says. She doesn't really have any free will, which is the character in question, obviously. So yeah, actually that is essentially two characters then that have like basically very little character crossover. So FF13, I mean, and Yu-Gi-Oh are like the two, which is kind of ironic given the point I'm writing in my story right now. Yu-Gi-Oh! And FF13 are kind of the ones that have very little crossover. The characters and maybe a few concepts are FF4 and why am I blanking on this? FF4 and Fire Emblem Awakening, because it has some characters and some concepts, but that's about it. Then there's the mega tiers, which have is specifically three major crossovers. Well, four technically. Four major crossovers basically. You have you have FF7, ironically enough. You have Rosario Vampire, which I mean is very apparent, especially in the first chapter. And the third one, is of course Fairy Tail. And do I even need to mention the fourth one? Like, at all? Actually, Kingdom Hearts can be added to the minimal tier now that I'm thinking about it. But yeah, although the jury's still out on whether or not I'm actually going to bother, but I actually, the more I'm thinking about that, actually, the more I like that idea. It just needs some finagling to make work, I can make it work, but it would take some finagling is the only drawback. Which actually isn't a bad idea because I can actually still make that work. Now that I'm thinking about it. See, this is OC mode in a nutshell. Oh, for me. Oh, that's a thing from the bank. Anyways, uh, this is OC mode in a nutshell for me. You know, this is, for all intents and purposes, how this kind of thing goes, right? Is I make, I make how do I phrase this? Pokemon Fire Emblem Monster Hunter Pretty Yep. And a slight bit of Final Fantasy. Yep. Yeah, I've been able to piece that together, admittedly. Over the course of it. Which is funny because I don't know if you've ever given me the full list of the franchises yours is a crossover with. But I suppose as I'm just rambling. So I should actually pull something up if you give me a second. So let's talk about the different ways that each one crosses over. So let's start with the minimal tier. Okay, I didn't explain which one was the big one, and I got rid of the image. Give me a sec. Give me a sec to pull it up. This will not take me long, as long as I can hit the right thing, because the biggest crossover by far is pretty simple, considering this is a setting I spent 4 months of 2022 frickin' exploring. Oh, there it is. Duh, need I say more? Or really? You know? But yeah, mine is mostly Final Fantasy and Fire Emblem, with Fairy Tail kind of thrown in. With, well, Rosario Vampire, Final Fantasy, and Fire Emblem, for the most part. Then there's so yeah, so I guess I should talk about the different characters. So the minimal tier, right? As I said, this is Yu-Gi-Oh! FF13, and in a way, you can kind of consider, if it's just the characters, you can consider other ones brought in. So that would actually be FF4 would be the other one added there, because I only really have characters from FF4 added in. So FF4, actually, Sacred Stones is there too. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, wait, whoops, I forgot Sacred Stones. And a hint of Gundam. Although that's got more to do with, like, different things that I don't want to go into right now. Now, I guess I should also mention this is from what I am calling Generation 1. Yeah. I still look back fondly on that moment, or that moment of shock, where I sat there for like a full 30 seconds just in shock, because I was like, oh dear God, Sacred Stones actually beat Three Houses. But as will be displayed in the credits of my Three Hopes video, when that goes live in, I forget when. Give me a second. Because I don't want to put my foot in my mouth here. So let's double check. When are you scheduled to go live? April. Second Saturday of April. April. 1 week after a video that some people will claim is my April Fools because it's going to launch on the 1st. No, I am not. I am almost tempted to just make that be the exception and have that launch either the Friday before or the Sunday after, just to kind of avoid that nonsense, because that is not an April Fool's video, you know. But I digress. But yeah, no, I'm as I will, as I have said in text in the credits of my Three Hopes video. Yeah, it's like, gee, it's almost as if Fodlan has shit tons of potential, and Sheol in Three Houses' bad writing squandered it. Because, like, seriously, Three Houses, if it didn't have so many things wrong with its narrative, would easily be my highest story score, and it would be, like, next to impossible to ever top that. Regardless, though, let's talk about... And regardless, though, let's talk about... let's get back into it. So, okay, so the minimals, right? 13, Yu-Gi-Oh! FF13, and FF4. So, the characters from... There's only one character which you could argue... We could argue back and forth whether she is... Oh, and Sacred Stones, right. Okay, Yu-Gi-Oh! Sacred Stones, FF13, FF4. There we go. Those are the four. In the minimal tier. So, in the minimal tier... Here. I don't need some Doom music. Let's move on. No. No! I know better than that on that one. So anyways. So Sacred Stones is just going to have a few characters. Same here. And Three Hopes, actually, funny enough, has allowed me to do that. But we'll get into that on the tail end. This was meant to be a casual chat while I was writing. So much for that. Oh well, that's okay. I don't mind. Anyways, so Sacred Stones has a few characters: Erica, Ephraim, Seth, Tana, and Joshua. All make appearances in, well, a string of... Give me a sec. How long are you? You're from there to there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So first, they effectively are characters for like about 5 chapters, and then they're just kind of mentions for like the rest of the series unfortunately. Because each chapter I kind of put as like a standalone thing, unless it's part of an arc. And those 5 chapters make up an arc. So those are characters of the arc, basically. You know? So, yeah. So Sacred Stones has Erica, Ephraim, Seth, Tana, Anna, and Joshua. And Natasha. I guess we could throw Natasha in because you gotta have a healer, right? So, there you go. So, yeah, that's Sacred Stones. FF4. We'll just go in the order of how many are in FF4. Kain and Rydia are the only ones that are really planned to be in. I could have Cecil and Rosa make an appearance. I make no promises on that, but those are the two that... nice. Those are the two that I can guarantee are going to be a thing. Then, so then there's Yu-Gi-Oh! And FF13. FF13 is pretty easy. Lightning. Although, there may be a couple of other characters that might make appearances, but I have yet to decide on that. I will say this much. Jesus. 500 Pretty Cure? Damn. That's crazy. Yeah. But anyways. But yeah, with FF13, some characters might make an appearance. Certain characters do not exist in my setting from the FF13 because FF13's contribution is basically just the characters, and I eject everything else. I fling all the events out the window of what happened during the Nova Crystallis saga, because the Nova Crystallis saga is badly written trash that is depressing as fuck. Look, and it needs to be ejected, in my opinion. I think we can have some characters fighting bad guys without turning it into a shit show. You know? Yeah. Then, so that's FF13. The characters that I'm debating having show up, for the record, are Snow, Sarah, and Hope. Those are the three. Now, I know what you're saying, but wait, Blue Wolf, I thought you hated Hope. No, I hate Hope in 13-1. This is his 13-2 appearance. That's still a bit. What song are you? Okay, you're a Cold Steel 2 song. You're fine. Anyways, right. So yeah, so Hope is basically going to be his 10-2 incarnation, because I would rather have a mature, awesome Hope rather than a whiny dipshit Hope. So we're just going to age Hope up by about, I won't say 10 years like 13-2 did. I'm going to say 5 extra years. Actually, that's a good question. When did he appear? Here in, I can actually look that up. Give me a moment. Hope Estam. Alright, give me your ages. Here we go. So, I guess we could go the full. And I guess we could actually go the full 10 years because he's supposed to be 14 in 13-1. Never mind. Full 10 years. He's 24. Sure. Sure, I'll risk an Amelie song. So, yeah. So, Hope, 24. Because why not? That is actually a good question. Why did I leave that open, Wolf? Come on. Sorry. Give me a sec here. But yeah, it's it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah. But yeah, it's one of those things where I'm just like, yeah. It's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, no. Pick and choose, right? It, I'm sure you've heard that a billion times. Let's double check lightning. 21. Hmm. Yeah. No, that works. Have him be a mature adult, adult, and have lightning kind of be the more mature one. I like that idea actually. The more I'm thinking about it. But anyways, regardless, ages aside, ages aside, Aid, yeah, that is effectively the four characters I intend to bring in. Nice. Those are the four characters I intend to. Those are the four characters I intend to bring in from 13. Lightning and aged up Hope because we're bringing in 13 to Hope specifically. Specifically, uh, hit Sarah and Snow. So those are the four. Or from there. Like I said, with FF4, it's Kain, Rydia, and possibly Rosa and Cecil. Those are the four I'll be bringing in. And as you can imagine, Edge is ejected, as I have already written in the scene, which reveals, yeah, those two are married. Because there's literally a scene where Kain puts his hand on her shoulder, and Rydia just kind of holds it, and then and then you see on their hands the wedding bands. I said they were married in my setting, and I meant it, damn it. uh, so then there's the mid-tier crossover. This one really only has effectively one point. Oh yeah, and then Yu-Gi-Oh! The debatable one. Yeah. Yeah. And then the Yu-Gi-Oh is the one with the debatable character. That is, of course, there's Mana, aka the Magician Girl, and possibly Mahad. Although I will just go ahead and say it, they are effectively different interpretations of the original characters. They're kind of a different spin on those two characters specifically. So there you go. And there may or may not be a storyline involving them. I ejected that. Okay, good to know. I literally have a chapter list up because yeah, I do actually plan my stuff out. Go figure. But regardless, yeah. The mid tier. So now to finally actually get to the mid tier, Fire Emblem Awakening. I don't even need to explain this. Flavorized his version of Morgan, female Morgan specifically, because I have some ideas for a crossover with Fates, which may or may not actually happen. We'll see, but it will be heavily implied that it happened, whether I write it or not. But, and of course, naturally, characters like Crom, Lucina, a substitute for Robin. So, Robin's not in here, but it is effectively, there is a character who effectively, replaces Robin. And then, of course, there's like a whole bunch of other stuff. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that. Sorry, stretch. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that just kind of goes into that. Characters make come in and out of cameos. There's talk of the Exalted Blood. Good. Actually, did I bring that in? That is a good question. I did not. So, originally there was going to be a thing with Exalted Blood, but I think I'm just going to go ahead and eject that. Because, I've got a whole bunch of other storylines that are going to be going through. So, yeah. I'm also going to have to do some research, or quote-unquote research, for one arc I will be doing, which of course naturally is going to be stuff involving Fairy Tail. But again, we can get into that in the big, in the big crossover section. So, let's talk about. So, yeah. So yeah, that's your mid tier. A lot of the stuff that involves it is backstory stuff, which is why I put it in the mid tier of using, right. Then there's the major tiers, which, yeah, you can get. There's basically 3 distinct points in the story, which utilize the different franchises. The first one, and it is obviously the Rosario Vampire. This goes on for what I will be marking as 2 works. Effectively, each chapter, there's going to be a grand total of 25 chapters per work. So that way I can kind of keep this nice and condensed and keep the flow going, and then just have a nice little stop point, right? Effectively, the idea is to kind of end on a big game changer moment, basically. Well, I guess sort of game changer moment, right? As there are major game changer moments, but something about my setting needs to change at the end of each work, which is the equivalent of a book, right? So at the end of each book, entering into the next book, the world or the setting, multiverse, whatever you want to call it, is different than where the previous book started. So, for example, let's take book 1. That's the terminology I'm gonna be using, by the way. Book 1 and has me start with just normal stuff of vigilantes, and he's beating up bad guys. Everything's good, cool, right? With some bad guys trying to reshape the world and whatnot. Then you move on to so all throughout book 1, it's all about establishing stuff and setting things up, and kind of just putting the pieces into place. Okay, so it's kind of a gradual changing the setting, gradually over the course of those 25 chapters. I don't need the song. Yeah, good enough. Establishing what I have changed, but with different characters and crossovers and whatnot. So yeah, So the first major one is, of course, Rosario Vampire, but the first book also has FF7. In fact, I would actually argue it's kind of FF7 and Rosario Vampire as the first book. Look, because there's an FF7 portion, and there is a with the rest of it being Rosario Vampire, right? Then book 2 is heavy. It is actually more heavy into the Rosario Vampire than anything else, because it really pushes the Rosario Vampire angle, but sets up for book 3, which is the big war. I like to call that the Azure Moon Empire arc. I am definitely certain I have talked about the Azure Moon Empire before, but effectively the Azure Moon Empire is an empire that is going to rise and then be killed and then be cut down in its infancy, and then have a certain someone go ahead and restore it after I convince her that, burning her entire continent to the ground is a bad idea. Need I say more? I should rename this. So, yeah. The Azure Moon arc is effectively where my OC is effectively where the fairy tale stuff comes in, but it will be heavily changed from the source material. I'm just going to go ahead and be honest. There will be no Urza Meteor, or just to name one example of a change I am making. Now, on the off chance you don't know what the Urza Meteor is spoilers for a very dumb specific aspect of the Fairy Tail's final arc. An opponent that Urza is fighting, I won't name names because because that's not the point. This is a good song for this. It's because this trial in Chrono Trigger was a farce. Anyways, in Fairy Tail, I don't know how they did this in the anime. I haven't gotten that far in the anime, but I know in the manga there was a scene where one of the characters, Urza Scarlet, is fighting an opponent. She is in an extremely weakened state, to the point where she can only really move her one arm. She somehow, with only being able to move one arm, manages to leap into the air and slice the meteor apart. I want to remind you, every other bone except for the ones in her arm, were broken at this point. And she was still somehow able to move and just get rid of the meteor. Yeah, shit like that is being excluded. And honestly, I'm also restructuring I don't remember the name of that empire. Please forgive me. And I keep closing this damn thing. And let me, if it ever loads. There we go. Whoops. I guess we'll go ahead and we'll do this. Come on. No? Alright, fine. Fine, you showed up, so let's... Oh, there it is. So the Alvarez Empire, right? The Alvarez Empire is definitely one that is going to be changed up. Obviously, I have to do some research to figure out what specific changes I want to make. But if you think the Alvarez arc is going to go exactly as it went in the manga slash anime, no, nope. It's going to go a lot different. I'm just going to go ahead and tell you because, well, let me put it to you this way: there were way too many characters that just were kind of way too fucking overpowered. Brandish comes to mind immediately. God Serena was another one that came to mind immediately. Larcade. Larcade is probably one that is just... I'm just gonna eject. I know that's gonna piss some people off, but I do not care. Because I will be blunt with you. I don't think he makes any fucking sense. Give me a second here. Oh, okay. He was basically just... Right, okay. He was a creation of Zeref. That's what it was. But yeah, no. There's some characters that I probably will be just full on ejecting. Larcade is probably one. And I would have to go through the list and just kind of pick and choose which one. And because, mostly the problem, the biggest problem with the Alvarez Empire is it's an empire of Mary Sue's, basically, which is a problem with power scaling, which is something we'll get into when we get into more of the nitty gritty of my OC setting. So, let's talk about. So yeah, that's... you can basically call that the Alvarez Empire arc, or the Azure Moon arc. I guess we'll call it that. Then we get into the Fodlan arcs. Yes, arcs, plural. Because this is the arc that has had the most change, obviously. Because so as Neko and I both pointed out, we have basically taken the way Three Houses went in the actual canon and flung it out the goddamn window. Because we don't like it. Simply put. We really don't like it. What's next? Next up is actually that song, so that is fine. I can actually go get a drink. So I will explain more after I go get a drink. I will be right back. Alrighty. Now, a fitting song. So, yep. Which is funny because my entire setting is split up amongst. I. How do I even phrase this? Depending on how you score it, or there's potential for a bunch of other arcs, but that's depending on how far in I'm gonna go. Because obviously you've got, like I said, you've gotten what I'm considering the Yokai Academy arc, or the Rosario. We'll call it the vampire arc, the Azure Moon arc, which actually bleeds into or no, I'm saying this wrong. We'll call it the Yokai Academy arc, the Azure Moon arc, which actually contains like 2 books, and then the Fodlan arc here, which contains the equivalent of 2 books. The Revelation story, but better written. Nice. My Fodlan arc is basically the golden route that the developers chickened out of. Because of course it is. That should not come as a shock to anyone who knows me even 1 iota. Really. But how does the Fodlan arc go? Okay. So let's just start with the fact that there is a lot of under the hood changes to it. Structure-wise, it is mostly the same. At least the first book of it is mostly the same as Three Houses, structure-wise. Now, I'm emphasizing that point, structure-wise, to get across the point. Structure-wise, my Fodlan setting is very simple. I haven't even finished planning out the last book yet. Whoops. Regardless, though, I am in the process. I am about 1/5 of the way through planning that final book, because I have the first half of the Fodlan arc planned out. I don't want to say written because I don't have it written, but it's effectively the idea here is that, okay, my self-insert character has Sothis embedded in him because of shenanigans related to the villains, and a chance encounter, and I want to stress that part because I actually like this concept. By the way, it's not an inevitable encounter; it's a chance encounter. So through chance, it's the 3 that are going to become professors, which only one of them has actually changed from the original OC Motok that actually used this image as the thumbnail. From the original OC Motok, only one thing has really changed that I'm really thinking about. One that I've been debating changing, because but that's interesting. So, oh, actually, it's actually kind of funny. You mentioned your Fates arc there, Neko, because I was debating doing a Fates arc too, and much like yours, Revelations, but better written. Because you basically take it from a choice to a let's get this whole thing sorted, right? But anyways, the Fodlan stuff. So chance encounter, become a professor, all of that stuff stays mostly the same. Distrust from Sedith. However, and this is the big however, some things changed. Yeah, it makes sense because it's like because no time to really sit down and get everything all explained, right? It's actually one of the reasons why I set up my OC character, literally, you know, OC Alex. Actually, that's what I'm going to start calling him, OC Alex. I've been trying to find a way to of what to call him, so we'll call him OC Alex. There we go. So OC Alex, Alex, uh, you know, basically comes up with this big plan to have a big sit down and just explain everything that's been going on. Not taking the chance with you. Who? No. But yeah. So, anyways. Okay, so the chance encounter happens, becomes the professor, mistrust happens. However, there is a couple of changes. Starting with the chapter's first blood and the captive student. This is where I start to get Three Hopes involved, because the idea is, what if Kranya was never Monica, and Monica was in Three Houses? Is the crux of this change. So, effectively, we've circumstances and shenanigans lead us to the fort where Monica's being held. We get Monica the hell out of there, and she joins the Black Eagle house. Everything's all good so far. Then we find out about Lenato deciding he's going to start a rebellion. Well, here's the thing. Like in Three Houses proper, Rhea decides to handle this in the stupidest way possible. Send the dude that Lord Lenato hates the freaking guts of with every fiber of his being, and send and her to go quell this rebellion because she is the strongest you have. Naturally, because I actually have a fucking brain in my head, I look at her and go, I can't change Rey's decision on sending Catherine. That's not how that works. I'm still too green, right? Not enough trust. But what I can do is convince Catherine to let me handle it. I talk Lenato down. I actually succeed in talking Lenato down because I started to show, because I have actually started moving pieces into place is that may or may not move things forward. In fact, the idea here is that he's going to hold off on his rebellion. It's not that he's quashed it completely. It's more so he's just going to go ahead and put that on hold for the time being. Nice, we were on the same wavelength on that one. Cool. Anyways. But anyways. So yeah, with Lonato, I basically convince him, okay, at absolute worst, hold off on your rebellion. He's like, okay, I'll stand down. I will trust you on this one. I will trust the former emperor of the now defunct Azure Moon Empire. Or, it was an unjust invasion that crushed your empire. I will trust you. I will hold off for now. But if this goes south, we're right back into we're right back into it. And I'm like, okay, I understand. And I understand. And then Lenato's like, also, why are you explaining my storyline with Sonic music playing? It's random. It's random on my Spotify. Leave me alone. Anyways. So then, and my version of Cindered Shadow shows up. And, and so the Ashen Wolf stuff happens, Rite of Rising, all of that shit. And because I help with that, that also adds to Rhea's trust of me. Which is good. Then there's the Death Knight's first appearance. Now, the Death Knight's first appearance is a bit of a change. Because the Death Knight's motivations, and by extension the Flame Emperor's motivations, are different. Because instead of squandering and not making it so that the Flame Emperor, is begrudgingly working with them, and which leads to stupidity in the time skip. In my setting, the Flame Emperor has been since the end of the what we'll call the Fairy War, has been slowly working to undermine Twisted, those who slither in the dark. Too happy with the song. No. I don't know how copywronged the Lady of Shalott is. So. Huh. Nice. Nice. By the way, I'm still undecided of whether or not Kranya is going to die in that initial encounter, by the way. I might keep her around just to make the fights more dynamic in the later stuff, but that's going to be about it. But that's going to be like her whole reason. But anyways. So, the Flame Emperor is working to usurp Twisted, those who slid in the dark. Because, as unbeknownst to OC Alex, yeah, Twisted kind of worked with the Alvarez Empire to destroy the Azure Moon Empire. And let's just say the Flame Emperor was a fan of the Azure Moon Empress. In fact, let's bring her up, actually. Oh. Let's bring her up. Now that I'm thinking about this. Go here. I didn't get around to it? Well, okay. Let's... I know there's an image in that folder. There is an official artwork picture I want to use because it is my personal favorite. There it is. The dang it. The Azure Moon Empress. So, yeah. Azure Moon Empress right here. Here. And let's just say the Flame Emperor was a huge fan of hers. Like, to the point where she kind of wanted to be intimate with said Azure Moon Empress. Don't look at me like that. You know she is canonically bi. Come on. Anyways, whoop. Get that out of there. No. 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 Okay, good enough. God, I am just tempting fate with copyright all over this stream. God damn. Oh. Nifty. So she literally looks at Mel and is like, if I'm remembering correctly, which I might not be, and please forgive me if I'm not, she literally says the same thing she says in Three Hopes. She addresses Mel as Lady Edelgard. Am I getting that right? I always forget. I'm sorry. I am bad with remembering small details like that. Yep. Good. Okay. Like I said, I get jumbled. Sometimes details just get jumbled in my head, and it's like, I don't remember if that was an OC mode thing or not. An OC character, or if it was actually the character. You also did some shuffling around, so that's, my brain is too stupid for a lot of that. But anyways, back to it. So yeah, the Flame Emperor was really a fan of the Azure Moon Empress, and because a certain Queen of the Blade decided to, OC Mode Mom decided to kill the Azure Moon Empress, spoilers, and when she found out Twisted had a hand in that, she was like, alright, that's it, we're done. And her retainer is like, I must advise against this. And she just looks at him and like, look, I appreciate you not being my retainer, not my simp. But this is fucking bullshit, and we need to start working towards undermining them because, which then leads to them manipulating things so that Monica gets freed, and we start weakening Twisted's position, little by little. In rumors of a Reaper, this is where the Flame Emperor full tilt just declares to Twisted, we're done. Because the Death Knight does not hold Monica captive, but rather a specific other OC character, which we'll talk about when we get there. We'll talk about it in more of the character section, because we're only in like the major plot points section. So, the Death Knight kind of is like, it is having fun. The Flame was like, I did too much fun. Back off. Okay, I guess you're right. Because let's just say he kidnapped OC Alex's daughter. We'll talk about the complications with that a little bit later, because it is a little more convoluted. There's a reason why why I stopped and yapped about OC mode when Hojo showed up in one of the FF7 sessions. So, then the Battle of the Eagle and Lion happens as kind of a breather chapter from all this heavy crap that's been going on. Then the Flame Emperor is revealed. The breather chapter is also going to be where I throw in some gag stuff, because the Battle of the Eagle and Lion is just kind of meant to be kind of a fun battle kind of thing, right? Also, I have a hilarious way to end the Battle of the Eagle and Lion. I have a hilarious way to do that. Yeah, I mean, makes sense. Forgot what I was doing here. Let's see. Back over here. Let's go up here. Oh, that's why. Oh, did I put her in here? And that's the other question. Do I have a non? There's the other question I gotta ask. One is, do I have an image of her in here? And two, do I have? Is it a non-porn? Or can I do a non-porn image? And as this special battle music from FF9 plays. There's so many songs I love from freaking. Yeah, she's like that in. She's like she is in Three Hopes. Great. Give me a sec. I've got a lot of images to go through. Ew, it's ridiculous. Come on. There's a specific character I'm looking for, and then I'll bring up that image after. Damn it. This is the problem with having way too many images. At some point, I should really rename these to the characters. Yeah, it's like, knock it off, Monica. That's enough for today. For the record, yes, Monica is still that in my setting is still that obsessed with Edelgard. Alright. It's just when she's told knock it off, she is capable of knocking it off. Dun, dun, dun. Whoops. Okay. Okay, looks like that's probably the best I'm gonna get. So it's fan art, and I don't know the artist, please forgive me. But yes, this is going to be the linchpin in OC Alex's. Here's the linchpin of OC Alex's. Let's get out of copy wrong territory here. Oh my god, get out of copy wrong. Okay, there we go. God, like 10, like there was like 5 copy wrong songs just all in a row. Anyways, so yeah, this little beauty right here, this little cutie right here. God, that sounds creepy coming out of me. Anyways, this adorable little ball of adorable here. Yeah, no kidding. This ball of adorable is the linchpin in how in the Battle of the Eagle and Lion. I don't want to spoil how that goes because that's too good to spoil. But yeah. I know I'm a hypocrite because, I've spoiled so many big things already, but meh, whatever. So yeah. So then the Flame Emperor gets revealed, as I said. The standard merging of the souls happens. Then the big sit down. The big sit down happens. The big explanation chapters happen. Then the Adressian Civil War happens in book 1. The Civil War is essentially the climax of book 1. I thought about how to handle this one, and I'm just thinking, yeah, no. Let's just do the war in 8 parts, or it's all into the thing. Then OC Alex gets beaten. There's no good way to say it. Gets beaten. A 5-month time. He's put out of commission for 5 months. And then, return to Fodlan to go kick some ass. And as it turns out, yeah, Fodlan did actually recover from, because his fear, OC Alex's fear, when he wakes up and finds out it's been 5 months, and he's like, oh shit. Hit, right? Shit. Speaking of shit, oh my god. I have too many copy wrong songs. Too many copy wrong songs. God damn it. So he goes back and he's like, okay, OC Alex is like, okay, gotta get all this shit dealt with, sorted, and all that shit. But then, what ends up happening is What ends up happening is that he finds out, no, no, things did not go to hell. Hell, like he was worried they were going to, right? Because to be blunt, well, he is important. O.C. Alex is not the linchpin of the entire setting, of the entirety of Fodlan at that point. Like, take him out of the equation, and Fodlan, the thinking of Twisted is take Alex out of the picture, OC Alex out of the picture, and Fodlan will crumble. Guess what doesn't happen? They take OC mode, OC Alex out of. Actually, there's one. I'm gonna just get that out of there. Actually, that's another one that I'm just gonna take right out. There we go. Now, the reason for that. To be blunt, the reason for that is actually pretty simple. And is very simple. All of the things that Alex is a linchpin for have already happened. Like, things have already been set into motion by his very presence. But to be more accurate, the actual linchpin wasn't OC Alex. It wasn't OC Alex. It was the Azure Empress. Her influence on a certain Adrestian emperor to be, in a certain Adrestian imperial princess, led to her basically, once Alex mentioned, maybe steer it towards Twisted, she agreed, and the plan to destroy Twisted was born. So yeah, there you go. Interesting. So yeah, OC Alex gets back. He's like he's expecting Fodlan to be in chaos and screwed up and yada yada yada. No. Fodlan stands united against Twisted. It had the exact opposite effect. Fodlan was united. Because the inspirations were already done. So, yeah. Yeah. There you go. So then the OC mode. So then the unification of Fodlan, OC mode edition happens, and Fodlan stands united. I have a guess as to which one he would pick, but that's beside the point. Regardless. So the war ends. And Fodlan becomes united. But here's the funny thing. Fodlan does not become united under the banner of the Adrestian Empire or the Leicester Alliance. I have a feeling... Yeah, I didn't finish this one. Do I have an image of him? Or do I have to go grab one? Oh, I never finished this, that's why. Oh, I gotta use that one. If I had known. Sorry, I'm just trying to scroll through. I'm scrolling through my images, and it's like, and I found one that was like for Bernie that actually would have been even better, and it was like, yeah, yeah, because if I'm right, Hubert went to go made the same choice he made in my setting, but we'll get into that in a bit here. Okay, good enough. Do I have a better pick of him? I was kind of hoping I would. God damn it. That's why I need to organize this shit. God damn it. Fuck it. Whoa, that's too big. Holy shit. That's a huge image, apparently. Jesus. Alright, so yeah. Dimitri. Dimitri becomes the king of the now unified kingdom of Fodlan. Claude goes off to be the king of Elmyra. Spoilers. The Dimitri rules Fodlan. I have not decided who the queen of Fodlan's going to be yet. I'm still debating that. Admittedly, no matter who I choose, there's going to be issues with it. But at the same time, I think for story purposes, I just kind of prefer. There's a way I kind of prefer to do it. Oh my god. Too many copyright songs on my playlist. I need to just craft a different playlist. Anyways. Regardless of any of that. Now you're probably thinking, alright, well what happens with Edelgard? Edelgard basically folds the Adrestian Empire into the United Kingdom of Fodlan. Because that was always going to happen. The Empire was going to be basically no more. And because Dmitri has been making so many strides and so many strides and so much progress towards bettering himself, health. Yeah, yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's just like she trusts Dmitri. So Edelgard, it's all because Edelgard has a different plan. She is going to use her resources, like the territory in that goes to Dmitri. The assets and resources that she has, like the gold and stuff, will be used for different purposes. Something Dmitri agrees to because he has he has a sneaking suspicion he knows where she's going with that, and she's right. Or sorry, he's right about where she's going with that. Let's get a different song. No. No. And you know what? This song works. So what Dimitri ends up doing, what he ends up doing is he agrees to it, and what Edelgard does, because of course I screwed that up. Edelgard uses her resources to return to O.C. Alex what the Alvarez Empire took from him. She restores the Azure Moon Empire and puts him right back on the throne because, you know what? He deserves that. Now, in my OC mode, stepping down as Emperor is a decision she doesn't make lightly. Like, it's not like in Three Houses proper where you're the second she finds a way to get off the throne, she jumps at it. No. Now, there is a part of her that does lament that. But even in OC mode, her destiny still remains to where she has to be an emperor. Or in this case, an empress. And thus, the Azure Moon Empire gets its new empress. Now, you might be tempted to ask, okay, Blue Wolf, I'll bite. Right? What about Hubert? Hubert, right? Where does Hubert fit into your little thingy here? Well, it is good that you asked. Because Hubert stands where he... let's not risk that, actually. There. Like I said, I'm risking copy wrong all over the goddamn place. Goddamn. Anyways, so you might be thinking, which choice did Hubert make? Like, what did he decide to do? Well, oh, this image is perfect. This image is perfect. Well, he made a conscious decision that was the same as Ferdinand made. Now I gotta scroll up to find it. Because I found the perfect image by looking at it from the big folder, and now I gotta find it from the small one. Ah. And there it is. Obviously, Hubert made the obvious choice. Well, ignore Byleth in that picture, but because duh, but yeah, no. See, because I'm essentially the replace. OC Alex is essentially the replacement for Byleth. She chose. I effectively asked Edelgard. OC Alex asks Edelgard to marry him, and she agrees. And thus, the Azure Moon Empire has its next emperor, has its emperor back, and its next empress. And then part 2 of, and then the second generation of OC mode happens. Now let's talk about some of the characters that appear here and the different changes. So let's start with the mochas, shall we? Because now we're into the character section. So the mochas are different in that there's now 2 of them. They're 2 separate characters. Twins that effectively buck the naming conventions of the family. And they just call her Rose. Because, well, let's face it, she didn't really have an official name outside of Outer Mocha. And just calling them both Mocha is just kind of wonky. However, Rose and Mocha are twin sisters in this one. And so what ends up happening is in OC mode, they effectively, fight alongside us and yada yada yada. Well, as you might imagine, the one that OC Alex falls for, if you've been paying attention, is obviously this one. You can put her over here. Is obviously this one, right? And so what ends up happening is she basically, her stepmother is evil. Let's just start there. Her stepmother's evil. I guess I can see if I have an image of her to kind of give you some visual cue here. Because I might actually have an image of Giroko. Give me a second. But yeah, it's her stepmother that I am referring to. Is that really the only image I have of her? Are those the only two I have? Is what that question has now become. Give me a sec. And this is not going to be a very interesting stream to rewatch, I'll say that much. But regardless, I don't. I don't have an image of her on her own. God damn it. Fine, we'll just grab the colorized image of her in the fan edited version image there. So that is Mocha's stepmother. So Mocha and Rose's stepmother specifically. I will bore you I'll bore you the intricate details because it's going to be in my in my actual chapters anyway, but basically she got backstabbed by Mocha's dad, and she's pretty fucking sore about that. Now, the problem is that she takes it to an extreme, and that is the problem. That has always been her biggest issue. Is that she takes things, she takes it all to an extreme because she got betrayed by two specific people. No, she got betrayed by two very specific people. And I will grab images of both if you give me a moment. Oh. Image. Give me a sec while Flowers Blooming in the Church plays. Oh, I guess that would be more up here, wouldn't it? Oh, come on. Don't start pulling that garbage on me. There we go. Betrayed by two people. Specifically, Mocha's dad here. And her birth mother. So these two here, these two here basically betrayed her. can barely see my finger pointing behind by the thing, but I'm pointing to Giroko. So these two betrayed Giroko, and effectively the idea was that Issa's really more the bigger offender here, because Issa was more in love with Akasha than he was with Giroko. As you might imagine, Giroko did not take that well, and basically started just wanting to burn everything to the ground. So, effectively, she just wants to burn everything to the ground, and that's kind of what I've already established within my setting. Now, obviously, she takes it to an extreme, but there is reasons to kind of look at that and go, well, no, that actually, makes sense. It's still taken to way too far of an extreme, but at least it's an understandable, like we can understand it, right? We're not excusing it. We're not excusing it. We're not, saying that she's, we're not trying to whitewash what she does, because no. It's just we explain it, right? And let's just say that those two do get their comeuppance for what happens, because, yeah. Let's just say there are only specific innocents. And I don't believe in punishing the child for the sins of the parents. Which is actually kind of a running theme throughout the entirety of the first round, basically. The first generation of my OC mode. Because that's kind of the big thing. That's kind of the big thing, right? I mean, because the big thing has always been in... How do I phrase this? My big thing has always been in, I don't believe in punishing the children for what their parents do. But at the same time, I get that in some situations that's more complicated than in others. But in this scenario, no. This is the parents need to have get their comeuppance for what they have done. The parents are going to reap what they have sown, regardless. No matter how much a certain wolf may or may not try to fix things. It may or may not try to fix things, Regardless, there's that. Now, let's ditch that one now. Let's go back to this to the image so we can add an existing one. Because I'm going to change this one up. Whoop. I know that's official artwork, but I have an even better image to put there instead. If you give me a moment. This one shouldn't take me long to find. Right? Because one, I know it's in there, and two, the second I spot it, that it will be good. Apparently it's oven time. I swear that will make sense more when we finally get through do other stuff on the streams. I just, like I said, this stream is basically just me allowing my writer's itch to just take hold, which is hilarious because this has been more of a I've been yapping about OC mode than anything, but you get what I mean. Why do I have that image 3 goddamn times? And 4? Where the hell is this stupid thing then? 5? God, I'm gonna have to do some purging of my images. Jesus. I mean, I like the bikini image, but fuck. I know you can't see it, but it's like I found the same image 5 times in this folder, and it's like, what? Jesus. It's because I pull it from different sources, and because those sources are named different, I'm getting the same image just as, I'm getting the same image on repeat, Okay, seriously, where the hell is it? I know it's here. Oh, there it is. Finally. This image is better. Because now it's time to talk about 2 more characters. Specifically, these 2. Who? Kurumuh and Mizore. So, these 2 are very interesting. The one on the right is Kurumuh. She is a succubus. And I should move their image over here. So, these 2, who are, so Kurumuh is a succubus. She becomes obsessed with OC Alex, as she does with Tsukune in the manga, and the anime as well. By the way, the manga for Rosario Vampire has a lot more influence than the anime, though that should be pretty obvious by this point. So these 2 basically become obsessed with me to the point where, a lot of shenanigans happen, and then these 2 end up together. Because, of course, I pair them together. Why wouldn't I? Even the manga was, heavily hinting at this. This, for crying out loud, It was one of those things where it was just like, yeah. There literally wasn't a chapter of the manga that actually had that. Actually, if you give me a moment, I might be able to pull it up. Give me 1 sec. Not gonna mute on this one. What song was that? Okay, that's a Cold Steel 1 song. We're good. This tote is where I had to put all of the crap after an inspection. The last inspection happened. Now, let's see. I need a specific volume. Thankfully, I actually remember exactly which volume I need. There it is, right there. Because if you don't believe me, let's get my headset back on. If you don't believe me that the manga was seriously basically they don't do anything with this, and I really feel like they should. But Or is it not this one? It might not be this one. Okay, apparently I was wrong, because I could have sworn it was in that one. But apparently I'm wrong, and it's actually in the one before. Ugh, I hate it when I'm wrong. Okay. So, you want precedent for... And you want precedent for these two characters to get together? An official manga panel literally has them kiss. So tell me that was not trying to set that up. Now, okay, I know her big Kuruma's big reason for kissing Mizure there. And yes, Mizure does find it weird here in the moment, but I mean, they're teenagers. They're still exploring their hormones and stuff. Yep. They're teenagers. They're still exploring their hormones and stuff, so... Yeah. Ugh. It becomes pretty obvious in a lot of cases. Which characters in my OC mode end up together. And yeah, absolutely. Absolutely these two end up together. Right. Right, because you also gender bent Takumi, so that works. Which is funny because I got to be honest with you, of all the pairings to do, that one wasn't even on my radar. But regardless, then again, a lot of Fate's pairings are just never on my radar because some of them are just, you know. Yep. Yep. Regardless. But yeah, regardless, these two end up together. Absolutely. One character that I know some people is going to raise some heckles. Heckles that isn't going to be here from Rosario Vampire is Yukari Sendo. Which I know, I don't know. I honestly don't know if if I have a proper image of her. Give me a sec, because I wasn't looking for her, because of course I wasn't. I also need it to not be full of nudity. Which is hard because a lot of images that you can get that I have of her from the anime, and the anime is horny as fuck. Like seriously, you want to watch a horny anime? You watch the Rosario Vampire anime. I mean, I know there's a lot of animes that could be considered horny, but well, you know what? Let's just go with this colorized version. Fuck it. This character is not included. This is Yukari Sendo. And this is actually from a chapter of the manga I fucking hate. Actually, with the Rosario Vampire cast, I can just do it right from the books. And I already closed the tote, because of course I did. But yeah, the reason... Okay, I was wondering why I wasn't hearing anything for a second there. the reason I am excluding her can be summed up by the cover of the fourth volume. She is 11 years old. Now, call it a quirk, but my series has got a lot of, well, let's call it what it is. It has romance, it has sex, it has crap that it has plot points that the LGBT community is going to judge me for. So, yeah. Unfortunately, we have to eject Yukari. Because Yukari is... Yukari is one of those characters where I kind of just felt like the manga didn't know what the hell to do with her. In way too many cases. And I'm just going to get it out of there. In way too many cases, I felt like the manga just didn't know what the hell to do with Yukari, and to be honest with you, I had no good solution. So I just kind of tossed her out the window. Now, admittedly, you could say the same about some of the Fodlan cast, but honestly, I think it just works as having students. For example, to have the Golden Deer students just be the Golden Deer students, to have the Blue Lions students just be the Blue Lions students, and heck, I'm even planning to do some stuff with some of the Blue Lions, for example. For example, I'm going ahead and doing. I'm actually having Felix continue to be the Shield of Fargus kind of thing, but it's more so the Shield of Fodlan. And the idea being that, you have the Shield of Fodlan, although, okay. Let me pause and rewind. Felix isn't going to be the Shield of Fodlan, he's going to be the Sword of Fodlan. In other words, he's going to be, for all intents and purposes, a whatchamacallit. He's going to be a he's going to basically be the enforcer, the right-hand man to the king kind of thing. The head of his army kind of thing. Inappropriate song, so let's try this again. This is a battle song, so it fits. Felix is going to be more of kind of like the sword in the second generation of my setting is going to be Fodlan's sword. Its shield is going to be Dedue. And considering that Duscur is actually going to be, kind of petitioning to be a part of Fodlan after all is said and done, yeah. Which means, Dimitri gets to live up to what he promised the people of Duscur. To start moving towards people not fearing, not being afraid of the people of Duscur. Because they shouldn't be. Then you've got, so there's that. Mercedes basically is going to be like the main healer, doctor, kind of thing. I guess I should talk about the Church of Saros' involvement in the second generation, shouldn't I? Well, let's keep going with this. We'll do this by faction. Action, right? Because obviously I'm keeping specific things in check, and certain things I do actually want to be hush-hush on, because, I want to encourage people to read my work when I actually start publishing it, which, if all goes well, that's actually going to start, hopefully, by the end of this month. I will have finally finished the first chapter, and then I can start working on chapter 2, and then I can actually start working on this damn thing, So, there's that. So there we go. So, Fodlan gets united. So yeah, Fodlan gets united. Felix is the right hand man of the king, and the right, the right and left hand. So effectively, Fodlan gets its twin jewels, the equivalent of the twin jewels of the Empire. What's next? Hmm. No. Good enough. So, yeah, the equivalent of the twin jewels of the Empire, or the Hubert and Ferdinand equivalent, is actually, weirdly enough, Felix and Dedue, because they kind of form a kind of a partnership, a kind of a friendship, right? You know, uh, Ash kind of is in charge. Kind of helps mediate relations between Fodlan and the Azure Moon Empire, and then we go from which is all well and good. The Annette just sticks with Mercedes because those two should just be a thing. Whether or not they're a couple, like, leave that up to your imagination. I'm fine with that either way. Hey, Iritza versus slash Emil. Well, let's just say there are there's some things with that, and leave it at that for now. What else do we got here? Who am I forgetting? Ingrid, yeah. Ingrid is kind of is another leader, high-ranking leader in the military. Sylvain, obviously Sylvain becomes Margrave Gautier, and whatnot. All of them ascend to the leader of their houses, obviously, and all of it kind of works in tandem, with each other, because it's kind of one of those things. Not ending this, yeah, because like I said, I like the idea of just kind of having people in positions that I feel that they are good in, right? Then there's of course whatchamacallit. Give me a sec here. I just want to make sure of some things here. Okay. But anyways, regardless of any of that, but yeah, okay. So we talked about Sylvain, and we mentioned Ingrid, yada yada yada. All right, let's go to the Golden Deer. So, Claude, King of Elmyra. Self-explanatory, really, right? Then there's everybody else. Lauren's House Gloucester kind of becomes an integral part of Fodlan's future, and is kind of becomes a mediator between Fodlan and Elmyra. Becomes one of three mediators. House Gloucester, House Goneril, and I don't know how copyright that song is. House Gloucester, House Goneril, and shoot, there was another one that... Right, Daphne. And Daphne are like the three mediations with whatchamacallit, with Elmira, right? Ignatz gets to be a painter. Raphael runs his family inn. That's pretty self-explanatory. Hilda goes on adventures with Balthus because Holst actually recognizes that Balthus is trying to get better at her and is actually happy about that. Then, so that's a thing. Yes, Holst actually makes some appearances, obviously. Marianne gets some goddamn confidence and goes palling around with Hilda, because, besties. It's actually one of Hilda's reasonings, because she doesn't trust that Marianne won't do herself harm while she's away. Then there's Lysithea. The shortened lifespan thing gets fixed, like I said. And yes, you can say that about Edelgard too, obviously. And she basically, House Ordelia just kind of restructures how it is going forward. The Ashen Wolves, or wait, is there anybody I'm forgetting? Oh, Leone. Yeah, Leone basically becomes Bladebreaker 2, and basically gets a mercenary band together, because of course she does. It's kind of her thing. And trust me, there will be no shortage of need for mercenaries in the future of my setting. So then we've got... So that's Leone, that's Hilda, so that's Claude, Lorenz, Ignatz, that's Raphael, Marianne, Hilda, Lysithea, and Leone. Okay. Now, for the Ashen Wolves, I already mentioned Balthus. That's pretty easy. Happy goes off and bees with Ash, because I like that pairing. Yuri basically it becomes Count Varley. Need I say more? And yes, the current Count Varley, that is to say Bernie's dead, it's axed. Selfish fucking prick. And as for Constance, well, now we got to talk about the roles of the different Black Eagles within the Azure Moon Empire, because they're no longer part of the Adrestian Empire; they're part of the Azure Moon Empire. Linhardt becomes... Yep. Pretty sure we established that already. But yeah, he gets the boot in my setting because, obviously. Fuck Count Varley. Anyways, Linhardt becomes my Minister of... the Azure Moon Empire has basically different jobs, ministers that it requires. They can advise and consult with the Emperor and the Empress at their leisure. Linhardt becomes the Minister of Medical and... that's not an appropriate song. Yeah, this is good enough. Linhardt becomes head of medical affairs, Minister of Medical Affairs. There's pretty self-explanatory. Caspar gets the same title as his dad does when his dad steps down, because his dad does step down, and he's like, all right, military affairs. There's goes to Caspar. External Affairs, the Minister of External Affairs, weirdly enough, actually goes to the Varleys. because Yuri is just damn good at that kind of thing. And so Yuri is the Minister of External Affairs. Bernie becomes basically becomes the Minister uh, of Domestic Affairs, basically. And she kind of rises to the occasion. She also kind of never gives up her writing or sewing, embroidery stuff, you know. Then there's it, right? So that settles Bernie's thing, and obviously we established Bernie and Yuri get together. Caspar, I'm undecided on. Or Caspar, I haven't decided whether he's gonna marry. Either way. What else do we got here? Lindhart, I mentioned. Caspar, I mentioned. Bernie, I mentioned. I guess I should talk about Happy, the Ashen Wolves, and certain thing. Happy basically becomes Minister of summoning affairs, summoners. Like basically, her job is to research summoning magic in different things. That's a good question. Probably somewhere, some quiet place where she can hide, knowing her. Anyways, so Happy basically kind of studies that. At Constance von Nivelle becomes the Minister of Magical Affairs, and marries Ferdinand. I don't know why I like that ship, honestly, but no, it's the one I'm going with. That would make sense. Constance and Ferdinand, I don't know, it just seems to fit. Now, granted, you could say, well, what about Ferdinand and Dorothea, Blue Wolf? Yeah, about that. Give me a moment. I will pull it up. Because, yeah. Where is it? There it is. Oh, did I decide on that? I think I actually decided the Ingrid question with this. Oh. Or maybe not. Either that or I decided I wanted to read it. I could have sworn I saved an image of it. There it is. Give me a sec. I need to resize this. So, you want to know why Dorothea and Ferdinand can't be a thing in my setting? That's why. I really don't think I need to say anything more, do I? I really don't. Yep, the Queens of Brigid! And yes, Dorothea and Petra do become the Queens of Brigid, and Brigid absolutely maintains friendly relations with both Fodlan and the Azure Moon Empire. You had to type it in all caps. It's like, yep. Be honest with me, Neko. As soon as I mentioned the question of why not Dorothea and Ferdinand, you probably were immediately like, "Oh fuck, I know exactly where he's going with this." Because I mean, I mean, okay. Look, it just fits, okay? Like everything about their friendship just fits, just perfectly fits. Okay, let's actually look at this for a second here, okay? In fact, let's actually pull this. No, actually, let's. There's one I'm going to pull down here. I didn't mean to make your face hurt, but yeah. Let's. So I got to pull the rules behind my Elgato for a second. But like the second I saw this ending, this epilogue text, I was like, yes, all of the yes, this is perfect, right? And I was just like, yeah, they totally become the Queens of Brigid, you know. Petra returned to her homeland of Brigid. It inherited the throne from her grandfather. As ruler, she declared independence from Fodlan and recognized his and reckon renegotiated Bridges' diplomatic ties his, to that nation on more equal terms. She does the same with the Azure Moon Empire. She actually goes ahead and she negotiates with the Azure Moon Empire and says, all right, we want equal partnership here. And obviously the Azure Moon Empire, because it's more alliances than, annexing, we're like, oh, yeah, absolutely. You're not a vassal state of the Azure Moon Empire. You're not a vassal state of Fodlan. Dimitri basically agrees to this because it's like, yeah, no. At every step along the way, she was accompanied by Dorothea, who had left Fodlan behind to support her. Dorothea used the connections she had made in her time at the opera to her benefit, and even worked. My eyes, damn it. And even worked reluctantly with the Fodlan nobility for Petra's sake. The people of Brigid were skeptical of her at first, but warmed up to her over time. It is said she became the person whom Petra loved the most. That line right there just cemented into this as like this is happening ending for me. Absolutely. Just absolutely. But I mean, can you really blame me, right? So that's the Queens of Brigid. Ferdinand becomes the Azure Moon Empire's prime minister, and he and Hubert become the twin jewels of the Empire, because of course those two did. After all, they're, I need to pull up an image. Just give me a sec. Don't mind me. I'm just pulling this up. Because, and because, Hubert kind of hasn't met his wife yet. Yeah, I don't think you've ever mentioned that, honestly. But yeah, no, it's that was such a duh. It's honestly kind of funny in that regard. So. That's why I saved that. Right. But yeah, no, I was just like, yeah, no. That was easily the one I had to have on there. No problem. Like no question. So, so one of the things that I will say that I that makes me kind of excited to actually be writing this again, that has actually, which has made me excited about actually doing this now, is because I now have a burst of, well, what I like to call the writer's itch, right? Hmm, nice. Nice. In many ways, that's kind of what Hubert becomes. The minister of the royal household. It's actually kind of intriguing. That actually works. But yeah, it's honestly, the more I'm thinking about this, is the more I'm just like, I'm in love with this idea, and the more I just kind of want to go write more, basically. Uh, but yeah, no, I don't know what else I can say. That is effectively some of the basics and some of the plot points that I intend to conclude in my OC setting. And mostly this was just for me. Um, so yeah, it just kind of, it was one of those things where my creative juices were just kind of starting to flow, and I kind of wanted to just I kind of wanted to just talk about my OC mode. You know, maybe in the future we might talk about some things. In the future, we're probably going to talk about more OC mode stuff because especially when we get to the next game after we finish FF7. Yeah, that is actually one of the reasons why I encourage that, because it's like it also helps with the writing, right? Because now I'm like, oh hey, now my writer, I'm feeling like my writer's block has, kind of evaporated. But regardless, yeah, this was just kind of like a little break from the norm, because I wanted to just kind of have this nice little slice of let's do this and take a bit of a break from FF7. No. Yeah, I think this is a good song to end on. So, yeah, I kind of just wanted to talk about my OC mode a bit, kind of workshop it a bit, and even come up with some, see if I could come up with some different ideas. And to be honest with you, while individual details may change, a lot of the big sweeping things, like pairings and whatnot, are not things that will change. Because there are certain aspects that I'm just keeping locked in, because I have plans for those to be locked in down the road. Yeah, yeah. That's kind of a similar beat with me. Monica's fate absolutely happened. It was something I had not mentioned yet. Uh, the changes to the war or and whatnot. It all made perfect sense to me. Regardless, I probably should go ahead and chop this off for today. Thank you, Neko, for joining me. Thank you for expanding on OC mode. Ode. Tomorrow, for real this time, I will commit to this. Tomorrow, for real, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to actually continue FF7. And hey, we might even be able to talk a bit more about a certain character that we didn't today. Oh, why the hell not? But yes, yeah, tomorrow we will continue FF7. We definitely won't finish FF7 tomorrow because there's a lot of talking bits we got to get through, which is irritating. But we should be able to get a decent chunk of FF7 done. Hopefully tomorrow we can at least finish Disc 1. That is the goal for tomorrow, is to just finish off Disc 1. Get everything involving Disc 1 just out of the way and done. So, yeah. Regardless, this has been quite a treat to do, and I might do some more of this the more we go on, because there's different things I would love to actually expand upon even more once I actually get them written out. And hey, once I actually get those chapters written out, maybe I might even do a dramatic read on camera type of thing. I mean, who knows? Maybe. We'll see. But I gotta get the first chapter written before I do that, obviously. And obviously that's going to slow down my plans for streams for this year. But regardless, I'm going to go ahead and chop this off now. As I said, this has been fun. I hope you have enjoyed. And I will see you all hopefully tomorrow. I'll see you all later. More FF7 tomorrow, and well, we'll see where we go with the rest of this. Blue Wolf Alex the Lord Walker signing out. Have a good one.